so today we're doing a review for Elden Ring Nightreign. Before we begin, it's important for me to note two things. I have not played the Elden Ring Seamless Co-op mod, and I've only played this game in public matchmaking. This game is kind of a strange game overall to rate. It's on the lower end of Soulsborne games, but some of my favorite moments I've had playing one of these games has been in Nightreign. There's this time in one of the Night Lord fights where we just barely beat it. We kept going down, but we were able to revive each other, and we almost had it killed. I was low on health, and we had a teammate down, but I was pretty sure I could kill it if I rushed in, and so I did the rush in and just barely killed it. It felt like something out of a movie. It was really cool. And that's just one of a bunch of similar stories about teamwork and clutch moments that can happen quite a lot in this game. I'll admit it was kind of hard to see the potential of this game at first. The game kind of has an exponential nature to it. If you're doing bad, you're doing terrible. If you're doing good, you're doing great. I also want to say that in general, I'm glad FromSoft is trying a new type of game. It would have been easy for them to stick to their proven and reliable formula, but they're trying to give us a new experience, which is good. For another new experience I hope you like, check this out. The demo for What Happens After Midnight, my action survival horror FPS, is available for free right now. You're sent to investigate the town of Night Vale and quickly discover interdimensional forces are invading our world. Hop between worlds, meet strange characters, and survive cosmic horrors once you find out what happens after midnight. Alright, let's dig into the gameplay. Combat is 90% of the same. Great fluid combat in Elden Ring. You probably already know. Except a few key differences. Firstly, it's character-based, with a good selection of characters. Some are better than others, but they're all good. They have character skills and arts, which are unique moves that are mostly very powerful and fun. They make you feel like a superhero of the Souls universe. There's also a faster sprint, which quickens the overall pace of the game, and it feels fun. The overall match structure, where you go around collecting weapons and perks until you fight a boss. Then you do that again, and then you fight the Night Lord. That works mostly pretty well. Having a random loot/perk system is important for match variety, but I do have to say it does really stink when you don't get anything good and you kind of feel like the run's over. Also, it would be nice if there were more unique perks, and they worked more like rings and talismans do. Also, everyone's gone over like the ones where like you walk an arrow and magic arrows fall down. There should be more stuff like that. All of the regular enemies are from Elden Ring, which they are good enemies, but it would have been nice to see some new enemies or perhaps older Dark Souls enemies. But to be fair, you don't actually spend that much time fighting regular enemies, because you need to spend more time fighting bosses, because they're what drops the good stuff. For non-Night Lord bosses, there are also a lot of old Elden Ring bosses, with some very slight variations. Maybe they wanted to put in bosses people already know, to make it easier for them to learn the game. Maybe it was a budget issue. Either way, it doesn't feel great. Maybe it would have been better if they put more of the old Dark Souls bosses in. It's really fun to see everything in one place, and it would have been better if there were more of them. There's only like 6. One thing that can happen is this cool thing where sometimes a random boss fight or event happens, and I wish they did more of that. Especially like events, like I think there's only like 2 events where like a group of enemies spawns in to kill you. They could have done more for that, I don't know. The Night Lord bosses are mostly pretty good and very cinematic and grand. The only complaint I have about them is that sometimes the bosses fill the floor of the arena with a bunch of hazards. which feels more annoying than challenging. It also feels more luck dependent sometimes on the ones that spawn pretty randomly. The only permanent buffs you get between runs are from relics, and most of them aren't that impactful. Maybe they didn't want to have some players be way more powerful than others, but they need to find some way to have more unique and useful relics going forward to maintain a sense of player progression. What little story there is decent, and it's nice that there is a story at all for a multiplayer game that doesn't feel shoehorned in. There are still good aesthetics, but obviously a lot of it's copied from Elden Ring, so it's a bit redundant to say that. The new boss designs are pretty good. The music is great. It's actually on the upper end of Soulsborne games, I think. Even just the walking around song is pretty good. People have talked about how they think the game needs voice chat. Now, you might call me crazy for this, but I actually don't think that will help the teamwork in this game that much.
We'll take him together. You're going slowly on the left. Taking him now! No, Anakin, no! No!
There would be too much angry and bad advice and too little reasonable but good advice. Also, no talking is kind of a staple of Soulsborne multiplayer. I do think they could do a lot better with nonverbal communication though. The main things being there should be a way to ping a place without opening the map. There should also be a way to say if you like or dislike a ping, and there should also be a way to indicate whether or not reviving you is safe. That one especially. There was some occasional short spurts of lag, but I mostly had stable connections. I am worried about the DLC/update structure. There were indications that there would be paid DLC, and number one, I hope that it has good value, and number two, I hope it doesn't separate the player base. I personally felt I got my money's worth, but with its currently limited content, I think it will be a bit too expensive for some people who maybe aren't going to be into this type of game. So you should really do your best to gauge whether or not this is your type of game or not before you buy it. Overall, Nightreign is a very flawed but very fun game. Hopefully this is just the beginning and Nightreign will be well supported going forward. For now, I'm giving Nightreign a 8.76. Thank you to anyone who likes, comments, or subscribes. And there should be a new Soulsborne and Souls-likes playlist from me at the end of this video. That's it.